Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my Game Week 11 League 1 review. If you do want to enjoy today's video, please make sure to drop a like on there for me and subscribe to the channel as well. If you are new, can we try and hit 140 likes on today's video? And don't forget to get your thoughts in down in the comment section down below. How did your side get on over this weekend? Let's waste no further time and get straight into it. Let's start out then with Thursday night's clash between Rotherham United and my team at Bradford City. Recording this on Monday afternoon, it certainly feels like this game was a long time ago now, but a disappointing result in all honesty. Despite coming back from 2 goals down away from home, I was relatively satisfied with the point, but having just watched back the highlights, how we didn't win this game, I'll never know. Will Swan has 2 great opportunities before they take the lead. He has to score at least one of them, and with the form that he's been on so far this campaign, you would certainly expect him to do better. And then Rotherham opened the scoring on 20 minutes. Really disappointing goal for us to concede, but to be fair, some nice football from Rotherham and a decent-ish finish from Hall. I think Sam Walker will be a little bit disappointed. He gets a hand to it. The ball's not the most well struck, it's not right in the corner. I do think we should be doing, or Sam Walker should be doing a little bit better with that, but also defensively we have to do better. 5 minutes into the second half, Bradford City gets shot by the Sheriff. Some nice play from Rotherham, but some awful defending from Bradford City. We get caught out with a ball in behind. Reece James then cuts the ball across the box, and Tyreek Wright is asleep at the back post, and Sheriff just taps it into the back of the net. Although Wright should do better, Nerthal's out of position, Burns out of position, Torrey and Lee should both take a foul in the build-up. It's just awful defending really, and you could see that we're missing 4 probably of our starting centre-backs in that game, and we massively miss Max Power in a game like this one as well. 6 minutes later though, we do pull a goal back through Anthony Sarswick. Ball's played forward, some nice hold-up play from Will Swan. Nerthal crosses for Sars, who just with the kind of shoulder chest sort of just does one of them into the back of the net. A good cross to be fair from Nerthal. I thought on the whole had a pretty poor game, and again a good finish from Sars for his 4th league goal of the season, who I also thought wasn't particularly great in that one. But we made a load of changes. Andy Cook came onto the pitch, and Andy Cook assisted 15 minutes later. Again, we play a long ball. Cook's got 2 defenders around him, but he does excellently to lay the ball off to Alex Patterson. Cook's already celebrating before Patterson does find the back of the net. Just minutes later, he missed an absolute sitter, a very similar opportunity where he just kind of snatched at it, but this time he kept his composure and finished into the back of the net. I want to say for his first league goal of the campaign. Let me know if I am wrong down below. It might actually be his first general goal of the season as well, but a good finish. And again, I'm never the biggest fan of cupping your ears and shushing your own fans, especially after you've just missed a sitter, but I can understand the passion a little bit, but I'm not the biggest fan of that. Again, we had chances in this game. We had 4 or 5 sitters, which or on another day we win this game 7-3 for example, because Rotherham also did create some decent opportunities as well. I'm not going to discredit them, but defensively they were garbage. Again, I know Bradford City were garbage, so it's not a kind of an attack on Rotherham, don't be getting offended, but that high line was just absolutely baffling why we were doing that. And yes, Swan did get a pretty poor match rating. The only real positive for Bradford City I would say was Tom McIntyre. He was the best player on the park for me, in my opinion, from Bradford City point of view. The Rotherham midfield duo of Powell and Gore, as I expected going into the game, were very effective. I thought they were both very good. Again, both teams maybe could have had a red card on another day as well. Baptiste brought down Patterson, which, he's clearly a denial of a clear and obvious goal scoring opportunity. Not entirely sure how that was a red, but apparently Will Swan should have been sent off. I didn't even know he'd been booked, so if anybody could let me know what had gone on there, let me know down below. But to be 2 goals down and come back and get a point, it's not the end of the world for Bradford City. We have obviously dropped down to 2nd in the table with Stevenage winning. They've also got a game in hand on us, but yeah, these are the sort of games that really you'd be liking to win, given that you've now got 16 days from this game until your next league match, which is at home to Barnsley, another Yorkshire derby for us, but I guess we'll take the point and move on. Into the Saturday early kickoffs then, Doncaster continued their wobbly run at the moment as they drew 1-1 at home to Burton Albion. Matty Pearson opened the scoring at just after half an hour, a well-worked corner routine from Doncaster. To be fair, a decent ball into the box from Jordan Gibson and a well-taken goal from Matty Pearson, I think for his first of the season. In terms of Jordan Gibson, 1 goal and 2 assists, and obviously that is actually his first goal contribution of the season, apart from when he's played against Bradford City, which just goes to show that maybe giving him grief isn't the best thing for us to do. But there was a number of goal line clearances in this game. I think Burton had a few cleared off the line. Donny had 1 or 2 as well. Tyree Shade would score the equaliser just before the 70th minute mark. A great ball from Charlie Webster and a well-taken finish from Tyree Shade. And this Charlie Webster, he's comfortably Burton's best player. Just 21 years of age, still got another 2 years left to run on his contract. 3 goals and 1 assist in 10 appearances for him so far this campaign. Could he maybe get a big money move in January? Is he ready for Championship football? Let me know your thoughts down below, Burton fans. In terms of Doncaster, I was a little bit surprised by the triple sub to bring off your Gibsons, Sharps, and bring on your Hanlons. This Olasanya, I'm not convinced on him whatsoever, and Ajayi came onto the pitch as well. But Luke Molineux as well, what's happened to him? Because so far this season, I think he's been really poor so far this campaign. Can I click on Molineux? Yeah, if we could click on Molineux, how many goal contributions has he got? 2 goals and 2 assists in 10. You'd expect more from a man who nearly got 30 goal contributions. I know it's a division above, but yeah, he's not had the best start to the season whatsoever, I wouldn't say, Luke Molineux. He missed another couple of decent chances in this game. I think for Doncaster, it is now 5 games without a win in all competitions. Obviously, they've stopped the rot of just losing matches, but drawing at home to Burton is one of your easier fixtures, and they've drawn that one. They missed a number of very good chances in this game. Looking at the stats, to be fair, there was 30 shots in the match, 8 on target. Burton slightly did edge that, but Doncaster created more XG with more possession. It looked like quite an entertaining game for just a 1-all draw. But Donny, 10th in the table, still only 2 points off of the playoffs despite their recent poor form. As for Burton, another point on the board. They're slowly chipping away at it. They've got a game in hand on a fair few teams around them as well. It is 5 points picked up from their last 4 matches, 5 points out of your last 12 available. Not the end of the world. They are now level on points as well with Wycombe with that game in hand. So I think Burton, despite a poor start to the season, recently are starting to get their act together a little bit, and it's important to keep players like Charlie Webster fit if they want to survive. And the other Saturday early kickoff saw Wycombe leave it late with obviously former Barnsley manager Michael Duff being in charge for Wycombe for this game. They left it late to snatch a point at home to the Tykes. Reyes Cleary opened up the scoring on 25 minutes. It was the centre-half who made a massive error. It was this Taylor. Is this the former Bristol Rovers man? Is that Caleb Taylor? Goodness me, I thought he was a very good defender at Bristol Rovers, but he'd made a similar sort of error just moments before it, and then Reyes Cleary capitalises on his mistake, just tackles him and rolls the ball into the back of the net. I think his first league start for the club, and he looked like a real threat. He had a big part to play in the second goal as well. Worked really hard to keep the ball in. I think a cross is eventually cleared, or it was worked out. I want to say it was to the number 30. Is that Bland on the edge of the box? It was. See, I'm learning my League One numbers here. He takes a shot and hits the post. Eventually, Adam Phillips picks up the ball up, slides it in to Davis Keeler-Dunn, who's just got the freedom of Wycombe really to smash the ball into the back of the net. You cannot give a man of that quality that much space inside the penalty area. And then I know this Farrugia's been given a lot of stick by the Barnsley fans. He enters the pitch. McGoldrick doesn't, who apparently have picked up a bit of a knock. But Wycombe certainly left it very late in this one. The first goal is just really poor defending from Barnsley. I'm not really sure what Shepherd's doing. He kind of backs away from Bell and just allows him to have a tap in after some nice play, to be fair, from McNeely down the right-hand side. And then the second goal, I think, is a free kick or maybe a corner, which is worked short. It's some passing play on the edge of the penalty area. And eventually Laurie puts in a low, cross comes short. No one really wants to touch it, and eventually it just goes all the way through into the bottom corner, and Barnsley throw away a very good lead. And the position that we're in, 2 goals up away from home against a team who've struggled so far this campaign, but they just didn't quite say switched on until the end of the game. It looked like quite an entertaining match in all honesty. Wycombe scoring with only 2 shots on target as well. In terms of the league table then, Barnsley in 9th at the moment, just 2 points off of the playoffs with a game in hand. Their next game is away at Bradford, which will obviously be a very tough one considering we've won all of our home games so far this campaign. As for Wycombe, another point on the board, but it's still been a garbage start to the season for them. Let's move on then to the Saturday 3 o'clock kickoffs. Blackpool nil at Wimbledon 2 saw Steve Bruce lose his job late on Saturday night. The scoring was opened by Danny Danilo Orsi on 38 minutes. Now obviously this comes from a penalty which shouldn't be a penalty. This is clearly a foul which is done outside of the penalty area. It's an awful decision from the match officials, but that's what you get with League One Wimbledon football. The officials don't really know what they're doing. I actually think that Wimbledon should have had a penalty just before that one. If you look at the highlights, it's pretty much the first highlight that is shown where I think Ihekwe brings maybe Orsi down inside the penalty area, and it looks like that one could have certainly been given. But on 63 minutes, Danilo Orsi would get his second of the game. A free kick comes into the box. Ryan Johnson with the header towards goal. Bailey Peacock-Farrell keeps the ball out, but he just parries it straight into the path of Danilo Orsi. He's an absolutely garbage goalkeeper, and to be fair, both teams had some decent chances. Bogle had one late on, which he definitely should have done better with. He put that straight at the goalkeeper. Blackpool didn't really create much in the game, certainly not from the highlights. And to be the home side and create 0.09 XG against a newly promoted side. I know Wimbledon are a very, very good team. I've done a TikTok about these recently, saying how good of a team that they are, but goodness me, Steve Bruce certainly did have to lose his job. There's been too much money spent on this Blackpool team for them to be as poor as what they are. But again, Wimbledon, very organised. They're missing some big players in this squad. There's no Matty Stevens in there. There's no Joe Lewis at the back either. You know, there's a few very key players. Marcus Brown obviously found himself on the bench. Do Blackpool have a better goalkeeper than Peacock-Farrell? Surely this Ravioli fella, he can do a bit better than Peacock-Farrell because he is crap. In terms of Wimbledon, 5th in the League One table, 4 straight league wins on the bounce. Their last defeat wasn't against Bradford, but obviously we did beat them at home. They have had an unbelievable start to the season. Johnny Jackson's boys are absolutely flying. I say that, it's Johnny Jackson's men. They've got balls of steel, absolutely flying so far this campaign. Blackpool, Steve Bruce has gone, so I guess you can't really talk about their start to the season anymore. It's about who they bring in. It shouldn't be Ian Evatt, though. Not for me, personally. Peterborough United lost yet again as they were defeated 2-1 away at Bolton Wanderers. Bolton finally seemed to be winning some of these sort of matches where early on in the season might have drawn this game 1-0, but a brace from Mason Burstow. 2 individual errors, really, from George Nevitt. He should be doing a lot better for both of these goals. The first one is a great cross into the box, to be fair, from Christie, and Burstow just gets across the young former Rochdale man, taps it into the back of the net, and then just 16 minutes later, ball is played in behind. Burstow just chops away from Nevitt, and it takes him 3 to 5 working days to turn around, and Burstow wraps it into the bottom corner. Just before half-time, Posh did pull a goal back through Peter Kioso, some nice hold-up play from Harry Leonard, and a good finish from the former Oxford and Rotherham United man, but after that, it was largely dominated by Bolton. Simmons hit the crossbar in the second half as well, and despite the scoreline, it did feel pretty comfortable in the end for Bolton. Peterborough not really creating much, just 2 shots on target. It was largely domination from Bolton. They gave up a bit more possession in this game, but they've got the job done. They've got the win, and that is the most important thing. Looking at the league table then, in terms of Bolton, it's 3 wins in their last 5. They are edging closer to the playoffs. If you look at the pack here from Barnsley, Bolton, Stockport, Huddersfield, and then you've got Wimbledon, Lincoln, Bradford and Stevenage. You know, it's crazy how the league table is working at this moment in time, but Bolton finally seem to be getting a little bit of consistency together. I know they lost against Northampton, but they have only lost twice all campaign. A good win though for Bolton, very much needed. In terms of Peterborough, it's back-to-back defeats for them. They're 2 points from safety, having played a game more with the worst goal difference in the entire division. They've conceded the second most amount of goals in the entire league as well. They've only scored 8, which again is one of the worst in the entire division. They are a very bad side, and for me, they're definitely going down this season. It's all well and good bringing all this experience in, but now you've got a massive squad and a real lack of quality in this team, and yeah, Peterborough in a lot of trouble for me. Game of the weekend without a doubt was Cardiff City 4, Leyton Orient 3. It's going to be very hard for me to remember all 7 of these goals, but Callum Robinson opened up the scoring on 27 minutes. Some great striker play, some brilliant sense forward play. He just gets the right side of the defender where he either needs to bring him down and get a red card, or allow Robinson to finish into the back of the net. A very well taken goal from the former Premier League striker. Aaron Connolly will level things up just 9 minutes later. Another big mistake from Gabriel Osho at the back. He's made a couple so far this season, gave the penalty away against Bradford, and now this one put on a plate for Connolly, who wrapped it away from the goalkeeper into the bottom corner. 7 minutes into the second half, the Bluebirds would retake the lead through Lawler, I think a homegrown academy talent, and it's awful from Orient. They just allow him to drive from inside his own half, gets off a shot from about 20-25 yards out, and the goalkeeping from Tommy Simkin is an absolute disgrace. It is absolutely awful. He simply has to save it. There's no other two ways about it. Yes, Orient could maybe defend it better, but it's not like he's wrong-sighted or it's right in the top corner. It's pretty much straight at him. It goes under him. It's awful goalkeeping from an awful goalkeeper. I said last season at Walsall, there was a reason why he got dropped for Sam Hornby halfway through the campaign, and I was shocked that he got moved up to League One, and there's no surprise really why Orient have conceded so many goals so far this season. But just 2 minutes later, the O's would equalise through El Mazouni. He's one of the scrappiest goals that you will ever see. The amount of blocks and posts and all that sort of stuff, but eventually Mazouni takes on a shot. Even then, it takes a couple of deflections and finds its way into the bottom corner. At that point, you think we've really got a game on our hands. 7 minutes later, Don Ballard would score probably goal of the weekend, an absolutely outstanding strike on his weaker left foot, whips it from outside the area into the top corner. An absolutely outstanding finish from the former Southampton man. But their lead would only last 8 minutes as Orient just completely switch off from a throw-in. They believe they should have a throw. They're completely unorganised, although the referee should, I believe personally, make a decision. He kind of just waits for the Cardiff player to take the throw-in, and that's that. I don't know if the linesman maybe made a decision, but I think as the referee, when it's contentious like that and you're not 100% sure, that's where you got to be waving your arms like you're trying to land a plane. But nonetheless, Cardiff play to the whistle. Cross comes into the box, and Yusuf Salic, 6'5", completely unmarked, 6 yards out. That is his bread and butter. That is his bread and butter, and he heads it into the back of the net. I know there's been a lot of question marks about him so far this campaign, but it's 4 goals and 1 assist so far this season. I know he did well in the Championship last campaign, but what were the Cardiff fans expecting? 70 goals, potentially. Callum Robinson made it 4-3 just 2 minutes after that. Some nice play down the right-hand side, and eventually the ball was cut back to Robinson. It felt like the Orient players just couldn't really handle the occasion. You could hear the Cardiff crowd, and they were a little bit nervous, a little bit unorganised defensively, and to be fair, a brace from Robinson, who I think had another really impressive display. In terms of the stats from the game then, looking at it, how have Orient not won this match? 26 shots away at Cardiff, 3.34 XG with no penalty. This is a really, really good performance from Leyton Orient, and again, it's fine margins. Richie Wellens has coached a very, very good performance here from Orient, but they've just not quite had the quality. They've had 11 shots on target away from home against Cardiff. Richie Wellens for me is one of, if not the best managers in the league. What he does and what he turns players into to what they are when they leave the football club, and then they just completely drop off again pretty much 9 times out of 10 after they leave Leyton Orient. But looking at the league table then, a very important win for Cardiff, who have now conceded 9 goals so far this season. They've actually conceded more goals than Northampton, which is pretty crazy to say, but it's nice for them to get back to winning ways after just 1 win in their last 4 matches, and what way to do it. 7-goal thriller in front of your home fans as well. They're now 2 points off top of the table. As for Leyton Orient, it's 3 straight defeats on the bounce, just 3 wins from their opening 11 matches, 22 goals conceded, comfortably the most in the entire division, despite scoring the joint most amount in the bottom half of the table. They're joint level with Plymouth and Mansfield, but when you've got Tommy Simcombe in goal, you're always going to concede a lot of football goals. Great win for Cardiff. As for Orient, I think the wins will come eventually. Stockport County picked up a massive 3 points on the road as they beat Huddersfield Town 2-1 with 10 men for practically the entire second half. Now, Stockport were awarded a penalty deep into added time in the first half, and I do think it is an incredibly soft penalty. Yes, there's contact, yes, he's tugging his shirt, but if we're giving penalties for that, then you're going to be giving 20 penalties a game. There is always contact and shirts being tugged and headlocks normally, which are completely ignored by match officials, and I think that is the frustration from football fans. It's the lack of consistency, because no doubt there was 6 or 7 other occasions in this game specifically, probably in that half specifically, where the exact same thing was going on, and the referee just decides that's the one that he's going to give as a penalty. Norwood, instead of normally wrapping it into the bottom corner, he opens up his body and rolls it into the opposite side. But 2 yellow cards in 5 minutes for Tyler Onyango, and I do think both of them are quite harsh, in all honesty. I do think the intent for the first yellow is clear, although he doesn't actually make that much contact with the Huddersfield player. I think it's just because he's so tall and the Huddersfield player is so small. That's why it did make quite a big impact. But then the second one, I think it's more just a coming together. You can tell by the way that the players both kind of fall at the same time and with the same trajectory, that I do think it is quite a harsh red card in all honesty, but probably by the letter of the law it probably is a red card. So then at that point obviously Stockport just trying to defend and see out the 1-0 win, but Odin Bailey would come up with a moment of magic in the second half. I think a man who's received a fair bit of criticism from his time at Stockport County over the last year or so, but I think this was an absolutely outstanding goal. Sends Joe Lowe to the shops, who for me is an absolutely garbage defender. The couple of times that I've seen him so far this campaign, and I'm not just saying it because he plays for Huddersfield, but absolutely awful defending, gets turned far too easily and Bailey drops a step over, whips it into the top corner. An absolutely outstanding finish from him. Obviously Huddersfield pull a goal back from a set piece in the 92nd minute. I think Stockport will be a little bit disappointed with that one in all honesty, but to see the game out, managed to get the job done, and with the way that Stockport have been playing so far this campaign, I do think it's important for them to win these type of matches. When you've had 10 men for so long, it really shows the togetherness that's there in the squad. When the back's against the walls, the pressures might not necessarily be on Stockport at that point. They've got through it and got the job done. Looking at the stats, it looked like quite an entertaining game. I guess the red card would probably certainly change that one. Looking at the first half, it was largely Stockport County. Again, the second half, because of the red card, it was largely Huddersfield Town. But a big win for Stockport, which obviously puts them up to 7th in the table. It's 2 draws and 2 wins in their last 4 matches, and they've only conceded the 1 goal in this game. It's certainly been their biggest Achilles heel so far this season. They've conceded far too many goals. Huddersfield still in the playoff places, but obviously 6 points off top, 5 points behind Bradford City as well. Just 1 win in their last 4 matches. There has been a lot of talk about change of manager, but again, it's not just an easy task to turn things around. And as a Bradford City fan, give Lee Grant another 3-year deal. He's a brilliant manager. He's absolutely flying. Great win though for Stockport. Lincoln 0, Exeter 1. Lincoln City got Lincoln City'd in this game. It was total domination from Lincoln for the entire match, and they were done by former Bradford City manager Kevin McDonald in the 94th minute. Pretty much a P-roll. I think the Lincoln goalkeeper will be a little bit disappointed, but more because I think he was probably wrong-sighted, or maybe the sun was in his eyes. I'm not 100% sure, but it wasn't the best strike in the world. But Kevin McDonald coming up with it in the 94th minute. Lincoln, they're going to be a strong side at home, so this is a massive 3 points for Exeter, who employed that low block, tried to play for the 0-0. In the end, they've smashed and grabbed a 1-0 victory, similar to how they beat Wycombe 1-0 as well. And I think they'll do that to a few teams this season. It was total domination from Lincoln. They were better in every metric apart from the only one that does matter, and that is the scoreline in the end. A brilliant win for Exeter. Again, you look at the quality that's in this Lincoln squad. Collins had a few chances, Draper hit the post, Rob Street had a one-on-one as well. It's just been one of them days really for Lincoln. You've just got to kind of forget about it and move on. Obviously, they've got a few international call-ups, so they're not playing this weekend away at Bradford, which is probably a good thing for them given our home form so far this campaign. But a first defeat in a long while for Lincoln. They've only lost 2 games so far this season, and a big win for Exeter, who were slowly sliding down the table. They would have been level on points with the relegation zone, having lost their last 4 matches. So very important that they've got a big 3 points over the line there. Not the prettiest performance in the world, but when you've got one of the lower, if not lowest budgets in the entire division, you got to take any points that you can. And winning away at Exeter, winning away at Lincoln, however you do it, is the most important thing. A massive 3 points for Gary Caldwell's side as they move 3 points clear of the relegation zone. As for Lincoln, blip in the road. I think they're still going to be in around that top 6 come the end of the season if they keep playing how they are. Plymouth 1, Wigan 1 is next up then. Laurent Talai opened the scoring on 70 minutes for the hosts with a penalty. Panenka down the middle, and I do think that one is much more of a stonewall penalty rather than the Stockport one versus Huddersfield. There's clearly a lot of contact from the Wigan man. He's not looking at the ball, and I think it is actually Talai who gets fouled, pulled down to the floor, and well converted by Laurent Talai for I think his 5th or 6th goal of the season so far. He's got 4 goals for Plymouth, 1 for Port Vale, so 5 goals in 11 appearances and an assist for him so far this campaign. But their lead would only last at 12 minutes as Christian Sadie with a very good through ball to Fraser Murray, who finished into the back of the net. Good for the Wigan fans, who obviously a very long journey down to Plymouth to get a late-ish equaliser, considering how poor they have been on the road so far this campaign. It looked like Wigan took a respectable number over down to Plymouth. And obviously Fraser Murray's had a really good start to this campaign. 4 goals and an assist for him so far this season. It's almost a similar amount as what he got last season in the Scottish Premiership, but he's proved to be a real good coup for Wigan. In terms of the stats then, Plymouth dominated possession, but only created the 1 shot on target, which was obviously the penalty. So apart from that, no shots on target at home. Wigan having 9 shots, 5 on target away from home is certainly very positive signs for them. Looking at the league table then, obviously both of these sides are in mid-table. A good point on the board for Plymouth, only their first draw of the season actually, but you're looking at 10 points from their last 5 matches, pretty decent return. As for Wigan, it is 3 without a win, but obviously their last 2 losses were against Bolton and Cardiff, so not the end of the world. A good point, I'd say that, for Wigan, to be honest. Port Vale 0, Northampton Town 0. For a 0-0 draw, it didn't look like the worst game of football ever played, to be fair. Both of these teams had some decent chances, produced some good saves from either goalkeeper as well, but apart from maybe the highlights that we've seen, not the most entertaining of matches, which is what you normally get with a 0-0 draw. But I'd say a better point for Northampton than what it is for Port Vale. A good clean sheet for both sides, which is important. Northampton only conceded the 8 goals so far this campaign, which is actually the joint lowest in the entire division. So I had a lot of concerns about Northampton, but they've picked up 10 points out of their last 5 matches after a pretty poor start to the season, picking up 4 points from their opening at 5 games. In terms of Port Vale, they've continued their unbeaten run. It's 10 points in their last 4 games as well. Both of these sides are certainly on the upward trajectory, and a point, not the end of the world. It's certainly a better one for Northampton being the away side. Obviously Port Vale have been on a slightly better run as well, but both of these sides certainly going in the right direction. There's not really much else to say about a 0-0 draw other than a good point. Reading 1, Mansfield 1. Tyler Roberts opened a scoring on 7 minutes. Some brilliant play from Resource down the left-hand side. That's not a name I've really heard much of over the last couple of years, because obviously he's been out with injury, but some great play. He puts in a cross on the left-hand side. I know it takes a little bit of a deflection, but Roberts gets there in between the goalkeeper and defender and pokes it into the back of the net. And to be fair, both of these sides created some good chances. I would say Mansfield certainly created the better ones. I know Reading missed an absolute sitter in that first half, but with Mariah Welsh's chance for the Stags where he hit the crossbar, a couple other bits and pieces as well, Mansfield will certainly be feeling a little bit aggrieved not to have got a second goal in this game. But Jack Marriott would level things up just after the 70th minute mark with just an exquisite finish, really. A proper experienced striker sort of finish. It just falls to him inside the penalty area. Good layoff from Matt Ritchie, and he's got his back to goal, but he just rolls the ball into the corner so casually, almost like a pass right into the bottom corner, and a very, very good finish. He's had a great start to life at Reading, to be fair, obviously following his summer move from Wrexham. Looking at the stats from the game, Reading slightly edged Mansfield in a lot of the stats, but it is only ever so slightly apart from the possession. Obviously Mansfield had the ball in the back of the net in the second half as well, but Will Evans ruled to have been offside, which I think probably was the correct decision. But a good point for Mansfield on the road, and a positive performance as well, which I think at this stage in the season is certainly the most important thing. They're still in 12th position. I predicted them to finish 12th, so again, end the season now, but it is only just 1 league win in their last 5 matches. Lot of inconsistency, 1 win, 2 draws and 2 defeats in their last 5. As for Reading, they were slowly going up. Now it is 2 draws on the bounce for them, and again a draw at home to Mansfield. These are the sort of games where you'd expect them to be winning if they do want to be up there come the end of the campaign. But win their game in hand, they could go as high as 14th potentially, which obviously looks much better than 19th, only 1 point above the relegation zone at this moment in time. But 9 points from the playoffs at this stage in the season with a game in hand, it's not really that much to worry about. But a great point for Mansfield. As for Reading, they need to start winning these type of matches, with all due respect to the Stags, of course. And finally then, we go to Stevenage 2, Luton Town 0. The home side going top of the League One table with a game in hand, and a big 3 points for Stevenage. This game obviously saw today Matt Bloomfield lose his job as the Luton manager. Hatters fans, let me know down below your thoughts on that and who you'd like to see replace him. But Kem Campbell opened up the scoring on at 65 minutes. A really well taken goal, to be fair. Dan Kemp lays it off to him on the edge of the penalty area. He opens up his body and just whips it into the bottom corner. Just 6 minutes later, the home side would double their lead as well through Jordan Roberts. A free kick comes into the box. It's not a great ball, to be fair. It doesn't beat the first man, Jamie Reid, with actually a pretty poor first touch, but in the end it sets up to be a perfect volley opportunity for Jordan Roberts, who fires in at Josh Keeley's near post. And to be fair, Stevenage had some other good chances in the game. You know, Jamie Reid should have made it 3. Philip Marshall should have probably been sent off for that yellow card offence on 83 minutes. Ball gets played over the top. He completely messes it up, takes out the Luton man, which you could argue that's a red card. And then also, as he falls down, blatantly handles the ball, so I'm not 100% sure how the referees only deem that offence to be a yellow card, but when you're top of the table, that is the type of look that you do get, and Luton, it has been a really underwhelming start to this campaign. Looking at the stats from the match, again, the underlying numbers are probably there for Luton. The Stevenage goalkeeper made a great save in the second half as well, but just not to be, unfortunately, for Luton. It has unfortunately cost Matt Bloomfield his job. Stevenage absolutely flying, 8 wins from their opening 10 matches. Bradford City go there in a couple of weeks, and I'm certainly looking forward to that big promotion crunch match. As for Luton, 1 win in their last 5. I watched their game against Blackpool on Tuesday, and they were lucky that Blackpool decided to just sit back for the last 50 minutes. They were quite lucky with the manner of some of their goals as well, but they've not scored enough for the players that they've got in this squad. They've conceded far too many as well so far this campaign, and Luton, for me, really poor side, and I'll be interested to see who they do get in for the next game. I don't think they were playing a 4-2-3 when I would assume this is more of a back 3, but it's just not worked for them so far this campaign. They've not been consistent enough. Too much chopping and changing as well in that side, and like I say, it has cost Bloomfield his job. But focusing on Stevenage, they've won without Piergiani at the back as well. You can chop and change a few players in this squad and they always end up winning. They're a very, very good side at Stevenage, and who's to say they can't go on and continue this for the remainder of the season and get promoted. Still no Jake Young in the matchday squad, but a brilliant win for Stevenage, and like I say, they are absolutely flying. Fair play to them, fair play to Alex Ravel. 8 wins from your opening 10 matches, absolutely brilliant. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there then for today's video. If you have enjoyed, please make sure to drop a like on there for me and subscribe to the channel as well if you are new. Can we try and hit 120 likes, as I mentioned at the start of today's video? Don't forget to get your thoughts in as well down in the comment section down below on how your team get on over the last week. And obviously we've got an international break coming up this weekend, but I think there is still a fair few League One matches to come, so we'll have the predictions and the review coming out over the next week or so. But thank you all for watching, have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you very soon for another one.